everyone. It's day 12 of Vlogust. I hope you're doing really well. It is Tuesday. That kind of feels like another Monday to me because I have been tackling some things around the house today and getting my house and my life in order. And so far, so good. I have watered all my plants. I've put some towels and sheets in the wash. I've cleaned the main floor. I've tidied up the kitchen. I also made a batch of Ninja Creami ice cream bases to pop in the freezer. I think I mentioned them earlier on in the month, but we got the Ninja Creami machine a few months ago and it is so good. James has an ice cream, like a protein kind of ice cream, almost every night. And Glenn and I have them once in a while. I never remember the exact measurements of anything, and usually James is here to help me make all of the different flavors and load up the freezer, and he labels everything, and he's not here today. So this was the first time I did a whole batch on my own. I hope that I didn't forget any key ingredients. I find a lot of the recipes for those on TikTok. Most of the time it's just milk that has extra protein in it. We use the Fairlife milk with, let me think, a spoon of protein powder, a spoon of sugar-free Jell-O pudding in whatever flavor. But we've been having fun playing with cheesecake Jell-O and then making like strawberry cheesecake ice cream, or today I made lemon blueberry cheesecake. We do a mint ice cream and they're just really good to have in the freezer, and we use pretty simple ingredients. So for James, it is a very healthy protein packed snack that he has at night. So that was kind of fun. I loaded those up in the freezer. They usually take about 24 hours to freeze before you can put them into the machine, and then it kind of whips everything up and you have a delicious ice cream. So I feel like I've got a handle on quite a bit today, which is a new feeling. I haven't had this feeling in a really long time. It's very quiet in the house. It's just Camden and I here today, which is actually kind of nice. We've just been tidying up and chatting, and yeah, things are starting to feel like they are much more in order. I also finally got settled with my Chunky Dahlia sweater this morning. I got my second reply from Lynette. I got an email and they gave me the correct, I guess, instructions for the row. That was kind of a mistake. Now, they didn't send me an updated pattern. So if you are a small or a medium size and you are getting that pattern, I'm not quite sure if there's a note to change that. But if you get to the point where you finish the design chart, like the first chart, and then you have to place markers for sleeve placement, not separating for sleeves, but just placing the markers, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. So just keep that in mind if you are planning on making that sweater. But it was pretty simple. I think I've got everything under control now. I've even done, I think, 3 or 4 rows where I'm starting to increase. And then soon I'll be able to separate for the sleeves, and then I will be so excited. But I wanted to share, I made a little impulse yarn purchase a couple of weeks ago. I don't even know when it was, but it just arrived sometime, I think late last week, but I haven't really I've been running around so much that I kind of forgot about it. I got a couple of skeins of yarn from the Lamb and Kid. It was one of their dye to order sales. And I have been obsessed with so much of their yarn and the colors that they have. And I think I shared in one of my last videos how much I enjoy following Blair, who works in the shop and just has the most beautiful Instagram feed with so many hand knit sweaters in gorgeous colors. I just want to make them all. And she was wearing a Nebula by Andrea Mowry, and I just decided that I wanted the same one. I just ordered the same yarn. I have plans to cast this on sometime in the fall, and the yarn is gorgeous. So this is what it is. It's the Lamb & Kid Birdie DK, which is 90% Surrey alpaca, 10% silk. It's 100 grams each skein, and I'm hoping that these 3 will be enough to make the Nebula sweater by Andrea Mowry. Isn't it gorgeous? The color is Floret. And I think I'm just really on a green kick. Can you tell? Purple is my favorite color, but I feel like green is a very close second. There are just so many different types of greens that appeal to me. I'm not necessarily a forest green person, but any kind of olive or pastel, mint, teal, turquoise. Oh, I love them all. And speaking of teal, I am going to be adding a batch of leather bags in my shop sometime later this week in the deep teal color, which I'm very excited about. And I'm going to try to get those into the shop quickly because at the end of the month, I believe there are going to be some changes with the tariffs if you are shopping from the US and goods are coming from Canada. So right now it's a little bit stressful and it's a little bit complicated. I don't know if it's going to stick because we've had so many changes and moments of tariff this, no tariff that, and it looks like there might be a big change at the end of August. And so I'm going to try to get this batch of leather into the shop this week, and then as soon as the orders come in, I will be doing my fastest shipping ever to just get everything packed and shipped and out the door before the changes. And fingers crossed that this won't actually happen, or maybe it will be reversed at some point, because if these changes stick, I'm not really sure what the future of my shop is. So I've seen a lot of small businesses in Canada talking about this. I've seen a lot of people posting about the stress of it all. It's a lot. I am really just trying to deal with it as it comes because I'm hoping, maybe I'm being delusional, I'm hoping that it might not come, but it looks like there's a good chance change is coming. So there's a lot of talk about tariffs. There's a lot of unknowns about duties and taxes and tariffs, but until the end of August, things should be okay. So if there's anything in the shop that you've had your eye on, I would suggest having a look in the next couple of weeks. I've got some project bags still in there. I've got some really pretty leather pieces right now. I've got small totes. I've got a few large leather tote bags as well, the big everything leather tote bag. So I just thought I'd mention that because things are going to be changing. So I am really excited about my new yarn. I just want to cast on all the sweaters and I'm having a hard time stopping myself, but I read through all the comments at the beginning of Vlogust when I asked for suggestions about starting a new sweater while I'm working on a sweater. And they all make sense, and I think it really depends on my mood, but I I've decided to stick with my chunky dahlia sweater for as long as possible. If I get to a point where maybe I'm working on sleeves and I'm just itching to cast on the ooey gooey sweater or the Nebula, then I might just do it. But I'm trying to hold myself accountable to get most of my chunky dahlia sweater knit and off the needles. I really loved the feeling of focusing on my ranunculus solely for, I don't know if it was about a month. I feel like I knit that pretty quickly. And I feel like I can knit the chunky dahlia very quickly as well because it's chunky. So I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to try my best to be a very monogamous knitter, working on one sweater at a time, having 1 or 2 pairs of socks floating around, and maybe one other little accessory. I know I have a little Sophie scarf on the needles, and I have another really cute kind of like kerchief on the needles that I can pick up if I get bored. So I think my knitting is going very well, and I have such goals to stick to it this fall and just keep working on sweaters. I don't think I've ever been this interested in sweater knitting ever before. I've always had little bouts of wanting to make a sweater or two or finding some, but right now I just have the yarn and patterns in my library ready to make, I think, like a good 4 or 5 sweaters that I really want in my wardrobe. And it's so exciting. It's a really nice feeling. And yeah, I think this is gonna be gorgeous. If you wanna see what it looks like, you should check out Blair's Instagram. She is Blair Destro, and she has the most gorgeous sweaters ever. I also had a little bit of FOMO this past weekend when I was on social media, and I saw a couple of yarn festivals or woolly events happening, and they looked so good. The first one was Flock Festival in Ottawa, and I really, really wanted to go to that this year. I have never been. This was supposed to be the year that we went. The whole family was going to go. It's only about a 4-hour drive, so we were thinking about making a weekend out of it. But this month was just a little bit crazy for me and it didn't work out. But I definitely want to get there next year. It looks so beautiful. I think most of it, if not all of it, is outdoors, and I've just wanted to go for quite a few years now. And so I think next year I need to make it happen. And then the other one, I believe, was in Seattle. Flock Fiber Festival. That looked so good. So many great pictures and beautiful sweaters that I saw people wearing at that festival. And the Lamb & Kid had an event as well, and it just looked so good. I would love to visit that store one day and go to Bainbridge Island. Maybe that will be in the future for me at some point, but instead I stayed home. I have been dreaming about my own sweaters and things that I could make and what other festivals may be coming up in the future. I am not going to Rhinebeck this year, but I am thinking about Knit City, Toronto, which will be in the spring. And I may even visit the Kitchener Waterloo, I think it's called Fiber Festival. I think that's what it is. That's coming up in September. So I'm going to try to get to a couple of events this year and just absorb all of the beautiful woolly energy that I think is my favorite part about festivals. I just love walking around and seeing what everyone else has made. There's just something about walking through crowds of other people who have the same love for knitting and yarn that you do, and you can just appreciate and understand the time and the effort and the joy that went into everything that's hand knitted, and it's such a great place to be. So I'm really putting that on my list to get out more, to do more, to get to more shows, and hopefully I can make that happen for the rest of this year and next year. I have to pull myself together to finish a little bit of work before I have to head out. I feel like I'm going to be out for a couple of hours, which is kind of putting a dent right in the middle or the later part of my afternoon, but these things have to be done. I'm going to go in the studio, put my yarn away, see what else I can manage before I have to head out. And I think it's just going to be a really kind of boring day. Started off with a lot of domestic nonsense, and I think it's going to end with that too. I've just got mom stuff to do. Yeah, so we'll see where the day takes me. I am just getting myself organized to head out in a few minutes. James will be home soon from work, and we are heading up to his school because he has something going on tonight, and it's kind of put a damper in my super productive day. I was feeling so accomplished. I got my house completely in order, lots of things cleaned up that I didn't even really expect to get to, but I've run out of time and I wasn't able to do as much work in the studio as possible, which is always what I tend to do. I don't time manage very well, but that's okay. Tomorrow is a new day. I will be trying to devote lots of time in the studio in the next couple of days in between all of the other stuff going on this week. But that's the plan. I am just getting my bag together. This is my little commuter bag in blueberry. I need to fill up my water, maybe find a couple of snacks. I've packed up some dinner for James and some watermelon that I cut up this afternoon. I used a whole bunch of leftover rotisserie chicken to make quesadillas and to make a chicken salad. So everyone should be able to find something to eat tonight. And I am just going to enjoy the drive with James, and hopefully I won't be too late and I can have a relaxing evening, because the next couple of days are really going to be full. I have lots of cutting to do in the studio, a couple of bags that I have on the cutting table, or plans for, bags that I have plans for need to be on the cutting table. I have to go out tomorrow, and we're dropping James off on Friday. So a few last minute things to get for him on Friday. We might just do that on the way up, just to stock his fridge. And then that's it. Vlogust will be over by then. I think, what's today? Today's the 12th, so I've got another 2 days. And I've got some videos I need to get started on for Patreon. So I'm going to be busy, but I'm making the most of my time. I'm really enjoying my studio at the moment. I have been tidying a little bit here and there, and I'm really excited for my fall making. Just some bags I have plans for, some quilting projects I want to do, my sweater knitting. I'm just really excited for the shift in seasons. And I don't normally like to rush summer, but I'm going to harp on the heat wave that we are in the middle of again. I know someone in the comments mentioned the other day that they're in Florida and it's super hot there as well. But I was so validated last night. I was scrolling on social media and I saw this Australian woman who is visiting Canada, and she was basically saying she is used to the same, if not higher, temperatures in Australia, but for some reason the heat here in Ontario, or southern Ontario, it's awful. It's just, I don't mean to complain about it, but it's really a humid, heavy, yucky heat. It is not like when I've been to Florida, and I know that Florida is extremely hot, and if you are in the sun you can bake. It is very, very hot, but the heat here is very uncomfortable. You can get heat stroke very quickly if you are out and active in this kind of weather. It's not pleasant. And we are fortunate to have central air conditioning. I know people that don't have it are really struggling, and people in older buildings and people that have to work outside, it is not pleasant. There's another heat warning today. I think the wildfires are affecting the air quality as well, so it's just not pleasant. And as much as I don't want to rush August or the last bit of summer, this heat is starting to get to me. So I'm hoping that the heat will lift in the next few days, but I think we have another week or two of this. And luckily I have Glenn's car today. He took my car because the air conditioning is broken, and we have a long drive ahead of us, but we have air conditioning, we have our drinks, and I get to have a little bit of one-on-one time with James. So I'm super happy. I am gonna wrap this up for the day, and I will see you guys tomorrow.